This is the guided reading video for Chapter 9 of Night by Elie Wiesel. In this chapter, there is another evacuation that happens. So I want you to record your reactions, thoughts, or questions to that. We also, the resistance movement is getting closer. So I want you to record your reactions, thoughts, or questions to them being freed and what happens after they're freed. And then you're going to be introduced to a corpse at the very, very end. So I want you to record your reactions, thoughts, or questions to the corpse in the mirror. Okay, I'm going to begin reading. I remained in Buchenwald until April 11th. So from the time that his dad died died January 28th. So he is still there until April 11th without his dad. I shall not describe my life during that period. It no longer mattered. Since my father's death, nothing mattered to me anymore. So what is this? I want you to record some reactions to that right there. Because up until now, he's been very descriptive about everything that he remembers, right? And he, instead of showing us that he doesn't remember anything, he tells the reader, I'm not going to describe my life during that period. Okay, that's different than what he's done for us before. Okay, I was transferred to the children's block where there were 600 of us. The front was coming closer. I spent my days in total idleness with only one desire, to eat. I no longer thought of my father or my mother. From time to time, I would dream, but only about soup, an extra ration of soup. On April 5th, the wheel of history turned. It was late afternoon. We were standing inside the block waiting for an SS to come and count us. He was late. Such lateness was unprecedented in the history of Buchenwald. Something must have happened. 2 hours later, the loudspeakers transmitted an order from the camp commandant. All Jews were to gather in the Appelplatz. This was the end. Hitler was about to keep his promise. The children of our block did as ordered. There was no choice. Gustav, the Blockeltester, made it clear with his club. But on our way, we met some prisoners who whispered to us, Go back to your block. The Germans plan to shoot you. Go back and don't move. We returned to the block. On our way there, we learned that the underground resistance of the camp had made the decision not to abandon the Jews and to prevent their liquidation. As it was getting late and the confusion was great, countless Jews had been passing as non-Jews. The Lageraltesta had decided that a general roll call would take place the next day. Everybody would have to be present. The roll call took place. The Lager commandant announced that the Buchenwald camp would be liquidated. So meaning everybody's leaving again. 10 blocks of inmates would be evacuated every day. From that moment on, there was no further distribution of bread and soup, and the evacuation began. Every day, a few thousand inmates passed the camp's gate and did not return. Okay, go back here and make some annotations about what just happens, right? We've got the prisoner that's telling them, go back, they're going to shoot you. Okay, then they learn that the resistance, the underground resistance, is not going to abandon them, and they are going to prevent their liquidation, right? So they're going to try to get to them before they can be moved again. Okay, which this is big news, right? On April 10th, there were still some 20,000 prisoners. Oh, hold on, did I? Yeah, sorry. On April 10th, there were still some 20,000 prisoners in the camp, among them a few hundred children. It was decided to evacuate all of us at once. Afterward, they would blow up the camp. And so we were herded into the huge Appelplatz in ranks of 5, waiting for the gate to open. Suddenly, the sirens began to scream. Alert! We went back to the blocks. It was too late to evacuate us that evening. The evacuation was postponed to the next day. So in the interview that we watched, it did reference that they tried to hide the evidence of the crematoriums by blowing them up. So here we have that reference again, only at this camp. Hunger was tormenting us. We had not eaten for nearly 6 days except for a few stalks of grass and some potato peels found on the grounds of the kitchens. At 10 o'clock in the morning, the SS took positions throughout the camp and began to herd the last of us toward the apple plats. The resistance movement decided at that point to act. Armed men appeared from everywhere, bursts of gunshots, grenades exploding. We, the children, remained flat on the floor of the block. The battle did not last long. Around noon, everything was calm again. The SS had fled, and the resistance had taken charge of the camp. At 6 o'clock that afternoon, the first American tank stood at the gates of Buchenwald. Our first act as free men was to throw ourselves onto the provisions. That's all we thought about. No thought of revenge or of parents, only of bread. Okay, so now they are freed. The SS have fled. The resistance has taken charge. I hate to think what would have happened if that last siren hadn't have gone off and they had actually been evacuated from the camp with the SS. I hate to think of what could have been for all of these people here. Okay. And even when we were no longer hungry, not one of us thought of revenge. The next day, a few of the young men ran into Weimar to bring back some potatoes and clothes and to sleep with girls. But still no trace of revenge. 3 days after the liberation of Buchenwald, I became very ill, some form of poisoning. I was transferred to a hospital and spent 2 weeks between life and death. So again, he still can't escape that yet. One day, when I was able to get up, I decided to look at myself in the mirror on the opposite wall. I had not seen myself since the ghetto. So since before they were loaded onto that first cattle car, it had been that long since he had actually seen a picture of himself. From the depths of the mirror, a corpse was contemplating me. The look in his eyes as he gazed at me has never left me. So here we have another image that has never left him. And I want you to look at this line here, the look in his eyes, right? Not the look in my eyes, right? But he refers to the person in the mirror, the corpse in the mirror, as someone else completely, right? So I think that's important that you record your reactions, thoughts, or questions to this. And that is the end of Night by Elie Wiesel. So I want you to think of Elie Wiesel's feelings about human dignity and human nature after this whole experience, right? So what was it after all this happened? What was versus what was it before? And do you believe that all people have the capacity to behave like the SS did? And then why or why not? Just think about that. That'll help prepare you for the class discussion the next day.